Thank you everyone for joining us. I do want to make a update really quick. Is now we have 6 sites. 6 sites for the water distribution. We had 7. Veterans Park is now closed, so we have those 6. Okay?
Good afternoon, and thank you for being here. Restoring water service is our top priority, along with protecting water quality for every resident. We know this outage has been extremely disruptive for families, businesses, and schools. As repairs continue on the 36-inch water main, we continue to make steady progress. 2 days ago, approximately 38,000 customer connections, or about 100,000 people, were out of water. Today, that number has been reduced to approximately 8,000 connections and 24,000 people. So we are happy to report 30,000 connections now have water service with adequate pressure. Repairing the 36-inch water main has been challenging, primarily due to the need to fully dewater the area before crews could safely access the pipe. Last night, we successfully isolated and removed the damaged section of pipe. Today, crews are installing and welding the new pipe segment. Once that is complete, we'll transition from repairing to restoring service for our customers. Repressurizing the system must be done slowly and carefully to avoid additional breaks. If conditions remain favorable, we expect service restoration to begin overnight. Even after water service is restored, the boil water notice will remain in effect for the entire impacted area. Preliminarily, laboratory results from samples collected yesterday in certain locations are encouraging. However, we must follow Texas Commission on Environmental Quality requirements and complete all required testing steps before the notice can be lifted. At this time, the entire affected area remains under a boil water notice. To explain why the notice is necessary and how to ensure water safety, I'd like to introduce Ruben Rodriguez, our Chief Water Quality Compliance Officer, to further explain this.
Thank you, sir. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. So there's been a little bit of confusion as to why we had to issue a boil water notice after a main break. And I'd like to explain that a little bit. So whenever a main break happens, water pressure can drop, right? So there is an intrusion into the pipe, and when that pressure is lost, that can lead to groundwater, soil, sediment, other debris going into the pipe. This process is known as intrusion, as I mentioned, or also backflow. During repairs, pipes are exposed to the environment, right? So there's going to be equipment and materials that come into contact with water in the system. Sediments inside the pipe can also be disrupted, and those things can lead to a reduction in chlorine in the water itself. So chlorine, again, just as a reminder, is the disinfectant that we use in our system to keep the water safe. So once repairs are complete, though, we must continue to verify the safety of the water supply, and there's certain actions that we must take after the repairs have been completed. First, we're going to slowly restore the system and the pressure throughout the system. And that takes a little bit of time, so we're asking for people to just have patience with that while we restore pressure throughout the system. Next, we're going to have to flush the system. We're going to go to hydrants, so people are going to see our crews out there flushing hydrants. It's a necessary thing that we must do. We know we have levels in the tanks are a little bit low, but this is something that we need to take care of as well to ensure that all that debris is removed from the system and all that sediment as well, and get the chlorine levels back to where they need to be. We also are going to, as Mr. Trejo mentioned, we're going to collect a lot of samples throughout the affected areas. These samples are tested for total coliform bacteria. Specifically, we want to test for E. coli in the water as well. These are done through state and EPA certified laboratories and through procedures that we follow in our own laboratory here at El Paso Water. The samples, as Mr. Trejo mentioned yesterday, were encouraging. We're having very good results, but we need to continue to test throughout before we lift the notice. That's one of the requirements we have to do, and one of the things that obviously we want to do as a utility to ensure water quality safety. I do want to stress that the boil water notice itself does not indicate that the water was contaminated. Okay, that's something that we must take as a precaution. That's something that TCQ requires. And that's something that we also want to do to reduce potential risk So boiling is the safest temporary way of doing that until the tests confirm that the water is safe to drink. This process really cannot be rushed. It's something that we have to take our time in doing because water quality is absolutely our priority. So to help residents better understand how to protect themselves during the boil water notice, I'd like to introduce Dr. Hector Carranza, our local health authority. Thank you.
Thank you very much and good afternoon. We have received many questions from residents, constituents, and people from the community regarding to what to do to stay healthy during this boil water advisory. Many of these questions we like to clarify, and we like to tell the people, first of all, to take care of each other and take care of your neighbor, which is very important. One thing that it is important to emphasize is what they have said, that the water has not been contaminated and the emergency medical services have not received any calls related to any medical issues since the boil water alert has been issued. As far as the drinking water, we continue to tell the people to drink water either from the boil water that they have done or from bottled water. And they already mentioned the distribution center. And for the people that have never or have not boiled the water previously, it is important to note that the boiled water has to be until you see all the bubbles coming up. You need to leave it for 3 minutes at least and let it cool off. And that's going to be the water that is going to be safe for consumption, meaning drinking, meaning prepare food, or also to rinse the dishes that we have. As far as bathing and hand washing, people can hand wash their hands with the tap water. People can bathe in that as long as they don't drink the water. Many of the people take care of some of our family members that are disabled, that are medically fragile, or we have infants in the household. Those we need to pay particular attention to those, and giving them the bottled water or the boiled water is going to be the way to keep them healthy. The other way that we can keep them healthy is take them to other relatives that do not live in the affected areas, and that's the way that they're going to be able to continue taking care of the medical needs and the other needs. Dishes in the laundry, dishes can be washed with the tap water, and having to use hot water and the soap, and to rinse it, you can use the boiled water that we have, and that's the way that we're going to also keep the dishes clean. There is no restrictions on the laundry, and for those people that want to use the dishwasher, there's a sanitized cycle that they can use as well. For the baby formula, I want to stress that they can use the bottled water or the boiled water. Boiling the water is going to kill the viruses and bacteria that usually cause waterborne diseases, and that's the way that we're going to keep them healthy. And also for those people that have a very weak immune system, please keep them in mind and give them the bottled water or the boiled water. And finally, for those people that have filter or dispensed water in their household, those filtered water did not clear the bacteria, the viruses, so therefore it is not safe to consume that if it is not boiled. So even if you have those systems, please boil the water until the EP water people lifts the advisory for boiling the water. Thank you very much, and we'll continue with Mr. Trejo.
Thank you, Dr. Carranza. We're fortunate to have this expertise guiding our response. A few final updates. We now have 6 water distribution stations providing tank and bottled water. Due to low overnight traffic, stations are operating from 5 a.m. to midnight. I want to sincerely thank our El Paso Water employees for their extraordinary efforts during this emergency. Our employees are truly water warriors. Our repair crews are operating 24/7. Staff continues to support water stations, customer service delivering water to approximately 200 senior and disabled customers. Water quality teams continue with regulators and responding to customer questions. and communications teams providing frequent updates through media, social platforms, and our website. And we continue to have many partners stepping up to help us, partners with the city, nonprofits, Fort Bliss, and many others. Thank you for your support. At this time, I'll make the same comments in Spanish, and then we'll take questions afterwards. Buenas tardes y gracias por estar aquí. Yo soy el ingeniero Gilberto Trejo, vicepresidente de Operaciones y Servicios Técnicos para el Paso Water. Restablecer el servicio de agua es nuestra máxima prioridad, como también proteger la calidad del agua para todos nuestros residentes. Sabemos que esta interrupción no ha sido muy inconveniente para las familias y las empresas y las escuelas. Mientras continúan las reparaciones en la tubería principal del agua de 36 pulgadas, seguimos avanzando a buen ritmo. Hacemos 2 días aproximadamente 38,000 conexiones de clientes, cerca de 100,000 personas se quedaron sin agua. Hoy esa cifra se ha reducido a aproximadamente 24,000 personas y reducido a solamente 8,000 conexiones. Reparar la tubería principal de agua de 36 pulgadas dañada ha sido una situación crítica, principalmente debido a la necesidad de drenar completamente la área antes de que los equipos pudieran hacer la tubería de forma segura. Anoche aislamos y retiramos con éxito la sección de tubería dañada. Hoy el personal está instalando y soldando un nuevo segmento de tubería. Una vez finalizada la reparación, seguimos con el restablecimiento del servicio. El restablecimiento de la presión del sistema debe realizarse de forma lenta y cuidadosa para evitar rupturas adicionales. Si las condiciones siguen siendo favorables, esperamos que el restablecimiento del servicio comenzará por la noche. Incluso después de que se restablece el servicio del agua, el aviso de hervir del agua seguiría vigente para toda la área afectada. Para ayudar a los residentes y negocios a comprender cómo protegerse durante el aviso de hervir el agua, me gustaría presentar el doctor Héctor Ocaranza, nuestra autoridad sanitaria local.
Muchas gracias y buenas tardes a todos. Hemos recibido bastantes dudas y preguntas acerca de qué es lo que podemos hacer durante este aviso de hervir el agua para mantener a nuestras familias y a nuestra comunidad sana. Y las siguientes van a ser varios de los puntos que necesitamos clarificar y queremos enfatizar para que nuestra comunidad siga sana. Una de las cosas bien importantes que queremos recalcar es de que el agua no está contaminada en estos momentos y afortunadamente los servicios de emergencia de la ciudad que están a cargo del Departamento de Bomberos no han recibido ninguna llamada en cuanto a este tipo de padecimientos relacionados a la falla de agua que estamos experimentando en estos momentos. Para toda la comunidad, si algunos de ellos no han en alguna ocasión hervido el agua, lo que se recomienda es de que pongan el agua a hervir y hasta que ya esté las burbujas saliendo, es cuando empiezan a contar 3 minutos y lo tienen que hervir el agua por 3 minutos y dejar que se enfríe para después poder guardarla y que estar seguros que esta agua sea segura para el consumo humano. Esta agua la podemos usar para cocinar, esta agua la podemos usar para tomar y también podemos usar el agua que viene embotellada, que ya sea obtengan de los centros de distribución o de alguna otra manera que tengan esta agua embotellada. La gente se puede bañar y puede lavarse las manos con el agua de la llave y no significa que por ello van a estar contaminados. La gente se puede bañar con esta agua, simplemente les recomendamos que no se traguen el agua cuando están bañándose, y cualquier agua que vayan a usar para el consumo humano, por favor usen el agua hervida o usen el agua que tenemos embotellada y que han estado distribuyéndose. Para lavar los trastes pueden usar el agua de la llave con agua bastante caliente y jabón, y ya para enjuagar los trastes pueden usar el agua que se ha hervido. Y para lavar la ropa pueden usar la lavadora y lavar la ropa en el agua de la manera que normalmente lo usan. Para aquellas personas que quieran usar la máquina de lavar trastes automática, pueden usarla y pueden usar el ciclo para desinfectar que está incluido en las máquinas para lavar trastes. Para aquellas personas discapacitadas o para bebés, el preparar la comida es especialmente importante. Asegúrese de que use el agua hervida o use el agua de las botellas, y sobre todo para cuando vayan a preparar la fórmula para los bebés, lávense las manos antes de preparar las comidas y lávense bien con agua y jabón y agua bien caliente para poder estar seguros que estamos preparando la comida y los alimentos de una manera más segura. Y finalmente, para aquellos residentes que usan el agua filtrada o que tienen sistemas de filtración en sus casas, estos sistemas de filtración no son seguros para eliminar las bacterias y los virus, y se recomienda que hiervan el agua también en estas casas que tienen estos sistemas. El agua que sale de estos sistemas, una vez más, no está purificada de virus o bacterias, y por eso recomendamos que sigan hirviendo el agua hasta que el Paso Water determine que es necesario levantar esta recomendación de hervir el agua. Muchas gracias.
We'll take the Q&A now. Remember, we won't be doing one-on-ones afterwards, so please get all your questions in at this moment. We'll take the first question, if you can just wait for Laura to get to you. First question, okay, Katie-san?
Hi, I'm with KTSM. Now, we've heard from residents who are frustrated, especially as this water main break happened while potential rate increases are also being discussed. What is your message to El Pasoans who are questioning why a rate increase is needed? And how do these proposed increases connect to maintaining and replacing aging infrastructure like this?
Well, first of all, we do understand and empathize with our customers being frustrated with the situation, but the aging infrastructure goes hand in hand with every budget that we do every year. So every budget we put together involves replacing, repairing of aging infrastructure of all sorts and sizes, whether it's facilities, equipment, large diameter pipelines like these. So all of our budgets include programs with several projects inside those programs to address these types of issues. So in this case, this pipeline is over, now we know is over 70 years old, was installed in the 1950s. This pipeline is not alone with its age and in this condition. We have a program in place to address all pipelines in similar condition all over the city, all over or under major thoroughfares. So this is what our budgets are comprised of. We would remind our customers that every dollar that comes to El Paso Water through the rates is reinvested right into the system to make sure that these types of repairs are prevented, or we try and stay ahead of it. But we'll also remind our customers we have over 8,000 miles of pipeline underneath the streets, in easements, behind people's homes, as we've seen, that we try and get to, and we have programs in place to try and get to the higher risk ones. Now, something like this gets on our radar, and we will begin to prioritize it, do all the engineering necessary to see where does it fall along in line with all the other pipelines all over the city that need to be addressed as well.
Okay.
You guys mentioned that the boil water notice is still going to be in effect even after service is restored. How much longer will people still have to be boiling the water even after they get their water service back?
So we're anticipating at this point, in the best case scenario, again, and we'll have more updates tonight, but in the best case scenario, we're looking at about another 24 to 36 hours to lift the boil water notice. Now again, because that includes repressurizing the system, what I'll refer to as hyperchlorination of the system, and then taking all the required sampling and testing to ensure that there's no bacteria or viruses in the water. That test alone takes 24 hours. So the test alone is 24 hours in order to culture it and complete the test. So at a best case scenario, we're looking at another 24 to 36 hours. Now, I will mention that the system is bouncing back. A large part of the affected area does have a water service. Not all parts, but a large part does, maintaining pressure. And proactively, we're already taking pressure measurements and sampling of the area. Now, sampling of the area, this does not count towards the official sampling and testing that the state requires. We're simply being proactive to see if we're going to have any problem areas with potential lack of chlorine in the water. And I'm happy to report so far our results show that we're not. So when we are ready to begin the official testing that the state requires us to do, we're going to be starting on the right foot.
Jordan, do you thoughts?
Hi. How do you want consumers to feel confident about El Paso Water Service following this main break, also at the time while this rate increase is being proposed?
Yeah, so it's a difficult time for our customers, but I think our response and our response to such a serious matter, we hope builds confidence in our customers. These types of issues will happen. Aging infrastructure, we face these types of issues. We had one last summer. It seems like every year there is an issue with aging infrastructure, hence the budgets that we propose every year to our Public Service Board to address. But in terms of confidence, our response to it, the programs we have in place, we have several proactive measures in place to ensure that these don't happen very often. Now, although it's a tough time right now for especially the residents in Northeast El Paso to have confidence in their infrastructure, but it is for that reason that we still ask our customers to encourage and stand behind this rate increase. Again, every dollar that comes to El Paso Water is reinvested back into the system to ensure that these types of situations do not happen. If we do not have the adequate funds in place to respond, that will begin to affect even more infrastructure. So again, I think the frequency in terms of confidence that we ask our customers to have in us, again, our response and the infrequency in these types of major events that happen in El Paso. A boil water notice of this level is unprecedented for the city of El Paso. But our response to it, I believe, has been quick, has been efficient, and we're doing everything possible to get a service back to our customers. But again, every dollar that comes to El Paso Water is reinvested into the system, and we assure the customers in the Northeast that there are plenty of projects in place, lots of infrastructure in place that they see, tanks, pipes that they don't see, that is in our construction program to replace and to ensure that these types of events do not occur.
This is KTSN News. What was the issue in terms of believing first this was a 50-year-old pipe, now learning, I believe you said it's 70-year-old pipe, and then learning from this, how will you guys change how you approach maintaining these old pipes?
That's a really good question. So the program in place for existing old pipes involves engineering studies to just assess the condition of it, the remaining life. So every pipeline that is designed just by engineering standard is 50-year life. So as we heard and as we've learned, this one's well over 50 years old, closer to 70. And that's true for a lot of the infrastructure. So it's our job as the engineers to extend the life of these pipelines, and there's different methods in place to do that, whether it's through a slip lining method, and I could get into a lot of technical details about it, but there's a lot of programs in place that we do to extend the life of these pipelines to avoid the complete replacement. The complete replacement involves tearing up the street, brand new pipe, manufacturing it, installing it. Those are the very expensive projects. So we have a lot of methods in place to just extend the life of these pipelines well past the 50 years that was originally designed. So from that standpoint, that's what we're doing. Moving forward, the design of brand new pipes. So although we don't know exactly what happened to this pipe, in most cases it's corrosion. It's corrosion of these pipes. So back in the 50s, the technology that was available, the best available technology is what was used. And that's true for drinking water systems all over the country. So at the time, the steel cylinder concrete coated pipe was the best available, but those will corrode. So those are the ones that we're working towards extending their life without massive replacements. Moving forward, we're using non-corrosive materials, and this is a practice that we put in place several years ago now. And although a little bit more expensive up front, it does extend the life of these pipelines long term. So something that I think generations in the future, our kids and our grandkids are going to be the ones enjoying the benefits of what we're doing now in terms of new pipelines. But in terms of mass replacements, yeah, our job is to extend the life of them, and we have those programs in place to do that.
Buenas tardes. Tuvimos una encuesta en donde le preguntamos a la comunidad pues, preguntas que les gustaría que resolvieran pues, nuestros funcionarios, y una de las más solicitadas es si este incidente tuvo algún tipo de relación o algo que ver con el nuevo centro de procesamiento que se está construyendo por este lado de la región. Si hay algún tipo de relación con alguna de las construcciones o algo al respecto sobre ese tema.
So 100% no. Lo que pasó con la tubería y no tiene que ver nada con ningún proyecto de construcción en el área.
Let's get Telemundo and then we'll come back to Jesús.
Tenemos reportes de otro water break en el área de la calle Paisano. Do you have any information about what's going on in the area or how many people are affected right now?
Is it by San Juan Boone?
Yes.
Yeah, the water service has been restored there.
Okay, so everything fine.
Yeah, there was about 5 customers impacted
Can we repeat that for the cameras?
by San Juan Boone.
Sure. Water main break in Paisano and Boone. We're aware of it, responded, about 5 customers affected, or 5 customer connections affected, and all that service has been restored at this time.
Jesús, back to KTSM.
Regarding the residents who were displaced, mainly those whose homes were left uninhabited, how's the city helping them? How will they recuperate, their habitat? Will the city provide them? What kind of help is the city or Paso Water providing?
These customers have been, we've been in contact with them, and they're receiving assistance from El Paso Water.
En cuestión con los negocios, pues hay negocios cerrados, hay negocios que a lo mejor no más están funcionando en ciertas partes, cerrados los baños, cerrados el dining, o no están sirviendo refrescos. Dos preguntas que salieron es cómo está apoyando la ciudad a lo mejor para que esos negocios puedan seguir operando, a lo mejor con, no sé, una pipa, y también cómo sabe la comunidad que si van, no sé, a un restaurante de comida rápida, pues están siguiendo los protocolos correctos como hervir el agua. ¿Qué es la respuesta que se podría hacer ahí?
So, si me puede preguntar la pregunta más corta,
Sí,
por favor.
¿cómo se están apoyando los negocios afectados y quién está revisando que se sigan los protocolos de hervir el agua?
Sí, sobre los protocolos no estoy seguro quién es responsable para asegurar que ellos están siguiendo los protocolos. Le puedo decir que esa responsabilidad no es de el Paso Water, pero sí le urgimos a los negocios que por favor sigan los protocolos. Es por lo mejor de los clientes de ellos, de la comunidad, y que no quiebren sobre eso y que cierren las fuentes de agua en los negocios. Y también entendemos que es un tiempo muy difícil para ellos también, y lo sentimos bastante, pero sí exigimos que sigan los protocolos.
Any other questions? Someone? All right, thank you. We will keep you updated on what type of media availability we'll have moving forward. Oh, you do have another question? Okay, let's do one more from KTSM and we'll wrap it up.
Just a status on the reservoirs that were drained as a result of this?
So the reservoirs that have drained, I believe we initially reported 15 reservoirs that were affected. At this point, only 6 remain affected. And this is the reason why a good portion of the affected area now has some level of pressure and water service receiving. So at this point, we still have 6 that are down, and they are centralized in a certain area. Again, explaining why a good portion of the affected area does have water pressure again.
Gilbert, let's take this last question from El Diario.
Sí, un par de preguntas nada más. Sobre si están haciendo un inventario de los daños que han causado Porque dentro de las 38,000 cuentas hay usuarios particulares y con esos, ¿cuántos son de cada uno?
So, sí tenemos el inventario, pero no tengo esos datos enfrente de mí. Las 38,000 conexiones incluye residencial, comercial e industrial. So, son conexiones clientes para nosotros, pero así para decir cuánto residencial, cuánto industrial o comercial, sí tenemos esos datos, no los tengo conmigo.
Y nada más para saber si hay un antecedente de este tipo de problemas en el pasado. ¿Y cuándo fue?
So, la quebradura o cuando revientan tuberías de este tamaño sí es algo que ha pasado antes en la ciudad, o hasta en el oeste, cuando se reventó la tubería en la calle Ojo de Agua. Esa fue una tubería de 24 pulgadas que viene siendo una tubería de diámetro, sí, es una tubería grande. Si es algo que pasó hace un año, no es regular, no es para decir que pasa cada año. Revientos de tubería sí pasa cada día, pero son tubería chica, pero así de este tamaño no es para decir que es algo regular. Ahora, lo que pasó aquí en el Northeast y donde se complicó la situación es no nomás que la tubería era de grande diámetro, que es un problema ya grave, pero en cómo se diseñó esta tubería en los 50 cuando se instaló, se hicieron muchas conexiones de tubería más chica, que eso es una práctica de ingeniería que ya no se hace. Eso es donde se complicó la situación y se hizo en una situación mucho más grande que por mí regularmente no es algo regular que se haga un problema así tan grande. Pero sí, como se diseñó la tubería, aumentó la área impactada.
Finalmente, en dinero, ¿cuánto ascienden los daños?
Ahorita no tenemos, sí hacemos las cuentas, pero todavía vamos a tener esos datos cuando acabemos con todo la reparación. Eso es algo que sí se va a reportar a nuestra mesa directiva.
Thank you guys. We'll keep you posted on future